These 2 hours, the presenters on every news channel were saying injured but expected to make a full recovery, and I have no idea why, but it made me so angry.
For years, Diana's sister, Sarah, kept her doubts buried deep. The pain, the what-ifs, the possibilities that maybe it was a plot to take out her sister. Now 60, Lady Sarah McCorquodale has come forward with a grilling revelation that has left everyone talking. Fighting back tears, Princess Diana's sister confirms the rumors about Princess Diana. Turns out she knew it all these years. Join us in this video as we unravel the terrifying revelations and what might soon be a public backlash. The death of Diana. In the early hours of August 31st, 1997, the world was shaken by the shocking news of Princess Diana's tragic death. She had been traveling through the streets of Paris with her companion, Dodi Fayed, when their car, pursued by paparazzi, lost control in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel and crashed. Diana, Dodi, and the driver, Henri Paul, all suffered fatal injuries. Despite the doctor's efforts at a nearby hospital, Diana passed away in the early morning hours. The news spread rapidly, igniting a wave of sorrow and disbelief that swept across the globe. From her closest family members to millions who had never met her, people mourned the sudden loss of someone who had touched lives through her warmth, compassion, and tireless advocacy. Diana's work, from raising awareness about HIV/AIDS to campaigning against landmines, had made her beloved worldwide, and her death felt deeply personal to those inspired by her. In Britain, the grief was palpable. Crowds gathered outside Kensington Palace, leaving flowers, candles, and heartfelt messages, a public testament to the profound connection Diana had built with people everywhere. For her family, including her sister, Lady Sarah McCorquodale, the aftermath was a mixture of private grief and public responsibility. Along with her other siblings, Sarah stepped in to support Diana's 2 young sons, Princes William and Harry, who were only 15 and 12 at the time. Amid the overwhelming sorrow, Sarah's presence became a vital source of stability and comfort, helping the family navigate an impossible moment in history. Sarah played a crucial role in organizing Diana's funeral, working closely with royal and government officials to plan a ceremony that would honor her sister's legacy and allow the public to say goodbye.
Her dedication to protecting Diana's memory and caring for her children was evident as she navigated the complex days following the tragedy. Though privately mourning, Lady Sarah understood the importance of handling the situation with grace and respect. She knew that Diana's sons, Prince William and Harry, needed comfort and stability, and she worked tirelessly to ensure they were supported during this heartbreaking period. As the days unfolded, Sarah's role in honoring Diana's legacy became even more significant. She carried herself with quiet strength during the funeral and the mourning period that followed. As the world watched, she stood alongside other members of the Spencer and royal families, visibly grieving, yet determined to honor her sister's memory. On September 6, 1997, millions witnessed the somber procession as Diana's coffin, draped in the royal standard, was carried through the streets of London. Sarah's presence at the funeral was especially meaningful. As someone who knew Diana personally, she could ensure that her sister's wishes were respected. She joined her siblings in a public display of grief, balancing personal loss with the world's need to bid farewell to the people's princess. What followed after the death? When did Sarah finally come forward with the truth about Diana's passing? Keep watching to find out. Sarah confirms the rumor. In the years that followed, Sarah took on the vital responsibility of preserving Diana's legacy. As one of the executors of her sister's will, she ensured that Diana's wishes were carried out, particularly regarding personal items and confidential materials. This duty required careful handling of letters, photographs, and mementos, many of which held deep significance for Princes William and Harry. Through it all, Sarah's commitment reflected not only her love for her sister, but also her dedication to protecting the memory and legacy of one of the most beloved figures in modern history.
Sarah understood the profound importance of protecting Diana's personal effects, which were more than just belongings. They symbolized her sister's life, values, and enduring legacy. Working closely with family members and legal advisors, she oversaw the careful distribution of Diana's possessions, ensuring that her wishes were respected and that her memory and values were preserved for future generations. But beyond the formal responsibilities, her commitment reflected something far deeper, a lasting tribute to the woman she loved and admired, and a promise to honor the impact Diana had on the world. Even years later, Sarah has spoken openly about the deep, lasting sadness she feels over Diana's sudden death. Certain details continue to haunt her, leaving questions she may never fully answer. Perhaps the most unsettling of these is why Diana, someone famously careful about safety, was not wearing a seatbelt on the night of the crash. According to Royal Central, Sarah has shared her doubts openly, emphasizing that Diana was meticulous about buckling up, even for the shortest journeys. Family members knew this well, and Sarah has described Diana as almost religious about the habit. That the events of that night unfolded so tragically, despite Diana's usual caution, makes the loss all the more confusing and painful for Sarah, a lingering grief that she carries to this day. For Sarah, the fact that Diana wasn't wearing her seatbelt isn't just a minor detail. It's a point that continues to spark doubts and deepen her sense that something about that night didn't add up. Diana had always been meticulous about safety, yet on that tragic evening, none of the passengers, Diana, her companion Dodi Fayed, or their driver Henri Paul, were wearing seatbelts. Only bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones, who survived, had his on. This inconsistency troubles Sarah deeply. Knowing how careful Diana normally was, the absence of seatbelts that night adds a layer of mystery she finds difficult to accept. It's this lack of precaution, combined with Diana's usual caution, that reportedly contributed to the fatalities, a fact that leaves Sarah with lingering grief and unanswered questions. The confusion didn't end there. In the hours after the crash, the Spencer family faced contradictory and misleading news reports. Broadcasters initially reported that Diana had been injured but was expected to make a full recovery. Yet the family already knew the devastating truth: she had passed away. Sarah recalls the anger and frustration she felt during those 2 long hours, as the false reports clashed painfully with what the family knew to be true. What has life been like for Sarah since these suspicions? Would there ever be justice or a hearing? Let's find out. How Sarah has preserved her sister's legacy. This gap between reality and public reporting added another layer of unresolved emotion for Sarah, making it even harder to process the night's events. It fueled her ongoing doubts and reinforced her belief that there are aspects of that night that remain hidden. As people reflect on Sarah's emotional struggle and candid revelations, it raises broader questions about how the royal family has managed Diana's legacy and how much of the truth about that tragic night may never be fully known. Over the years, Lady Sarah McCorquodale has played a vital role in keeping the memory of her sister, Diana, alive.
After Diana's tragic death, Sarah took on the responsibility of preserving her legacy, speaking publicly about her sister's kindness, compassion, and the positive impact she had on countless lives. Through her involvement in events and charities that were important to Diana, Sarah has shown her dedication to honoring her sister's memory. This active engagement allows the world to remember not only the tragedy of Diana's passing, but also the joy, love, and warmth she brought into people's lives. Sarah's influence extends beyond preserving Diana's legacy. It also touches the younger generation of royals, particularly Princes William and Harry. Both have spoken about the importance of their mother in shaping their lives and values. Sarah's connection with them reinforces Diana's teachings about compassion, service, and staying true to one's principles. In many ways, Sarah acts as a bridge between Diana's past and the present, ensuring that her spirit continues to live on in her children's lives. The public's fascination with Diana remains strong, and Lady Sarah's insights help keep that connection alive. Whenever she shares her thoughts or memories, it reminds people of Diana's profound impact, not just as a member of the royal family, but as a deeply human, caring figure. This enduring interest reflects a connection to Diana's values, including her advocacy for mental health and charitable causes close to her heart. Lady Sarah McCorquodale's journey reflects not only her bond with Diana, but also the lasting influence of Diana's life. From supporting her during difficult times to preserving her memory after her passing, Sarah has ensured that Diana's spirit continues to inspire others. Love, loyalty, and compassion remain at the heart of their connection, a testament to the enduring legacy of the people's princess. Who is Sarah, and how does her life get so intertwined with Diana's? Keep watching to find out. About Diana's sister, Lady Sarah McCorquodale. Diana's sister, Lady Sarah McCorquodale, born Lady Elizabeth Sarah Lavinia Spencer, was the first daughter of John Spencer, the 8th Earl Spencer, and Frances Shan Kidd. Her title carried generations of history and privilege. From the start, Sarah belonged to a world defined by tradition, responsibility, and expectation. She grew up surrounded by luxury and legacy, first at Park House on the Sandringham estate owned by the British royal family, and later at Althorpe House, the Spencer family's ancestral home for centuries. Park House offered Sarah and her siblings a childhood unlike any other, one lived in close connection to the royals themselves. That early link to the monarchy shaped much of her life and, as history would show, profoundly influenced her younger sister, Diana, who would one day become a princess and capture the heart of the world. Alongside Park House, the family's main residence, stood the magnificent Althorpe House, a place that was just as, if not more, breathtaking. The Spencers had called Althorpe home since 1508, and its vast grounds, grand architecture, and remarkable art collection became a cornerstone of Sarah's childhood. Every hallway and portrait told stories of ancestors who could help shape British society. Growing up in the midst of such deep history gave Sarah a strong sense of pride in her heritage and an early awareness of the responsibilities that came with her family's name. Sarah's education reflected her aristocratic upbringing.
She first attended Riddlesworth Hall School, an independent boarding school known for educating children from Britain's most privileged families. There, she received a balanced education, traditional academic subjects alongside lessons in etiquette and social customs, all preparing her for a life within high society. The school's structure and discipline helped her focus on her studies while teaching her how to carry herself with grace and poise. Later, Sarah moved on to West Heath Boarding School, a more advanced environment where she continued her academic and social development. Surrounded by students from similarly elite backgrounds, she began to understand the expectations that awaited her in the upper echelons of British life. West Heath also encouraged independence. Students were expected to manage their routines, make decisions, and grow into capable young adults away from home. It was at West Heath that Sarah truly came into her own, sharpening her intellect, building lifelong friendships, and learning how to navigate the pressures that came with privilege. Her childhood, while steeped in comfort and status, carried its own quiet challenges: the weight of tradition, the watchful eyes of society, and the constant reminder that being a Spencer was both an honor and a duty. What were some of the challenges Sarah had to go through? How did it shape all the goodness she later embodied? Let's see. The beginning of drama in Sarah's life. Growing up in such an environment meant that Sarah was always under watchful eyes. As a Spencer, she was expected to live up to the family's proud legacy, one built on wealth, influence, and a close relationship with the British monarchy. Everything the family did drew attention, and every choice was quietly measured against the standards of generations past. This upbringing gave Sarah a distinct view of the world. She understood the unspoken rules of Britain's elite circles, the decorum, the expectations, the constant pressure to maintain grace under scrutiny. From an early age, she observed royal traditions firsthand, learning how the monarchy operated long before most could even imagine such access. Her education and social life had quietly prepared her for the pivotal role she would play in her family's story and in the growing connection between the Spencers and the crown. That foundation would soon prove significant. Sarah's early link to royalty was about to turn personal
when she crossed paths with a royal suitor, none other than Prince Charles. It was 1977 when Lady Sarah McCorquodale met the Prince of Wales at the Royal Ascot. At the time, Charles was the most sought-after bachelor in Britain, his future bride the subject of endless speculation. When he met Sarah, he was immediately drawn to her charm, intelligence, and noble background.
The two began seeing each other, and soon the whispers started that Lady Sarah Spencer might one day become Queen of England. For a while, it seemed entirely possible. Those close to them spoke of their chemistry and mutual respect, and to the outside world, it looked like a perfect match. A young woman from one of England's most distinguished families and the heir to the throne himself. Sarah's family background only enhanced her appeal as a potential royal bride. As a member of the distinguished Spencer family, long connected to the British monarchy, she seemed to possess every quality one might expect from a future queen consort. She was elegant, well-educated, and already accustomed to the expectations of Britain's upper class. Her upbringing had given her a rare understanding of public life, along with the poise and confidence needed to handle its pressures. To many observers, Lady Sarah McCorquodale looked like the perfect match for Prince Charles, someone who could stand beside him with grace and strength. But in 1978, everything changed. What changed? How bad or good was it? Keep watching to find out. The end of one romance and the beginning of another. What ended the romance wasn't a scandal in the usual sense. It was Sarah's honesty. During a casual conversation with two journalists, she spoke openly about her relationship with Prince Charles. With disarming candor, she admitted that while dating him was exciting, she wasn't truly in love. She even mentioned some of her personal struggles and remarked that if she ever did marry Charles, she would still live her life by her own values and interests. Her remarks were refreshingly human, but they clashed with royal expectations. The monarchy prized privacy, restraint, and an almost unspoken obedience to tradition. Sarah's openness, though innocent, broke that unspoken rule. When Charles learned what she'd said, the relationship ended swiftly. It wasn't bitter, just final. Sarah's honesty had shown she wasn't willing to sacrifice her individuality for royal life, and that independence, while admirable, didn't fit the carefully managed image the crown demanded. Their romance faded quietly, closing the door on any chance that Sarah Spencer might one day become Queen of England. Yet, as fate would have it, her connection to the royal family was far from over, because another Spencer, her younger sister, Diana, was about to step into the very world Sarah had walked away from. In an unexpected twist, Sarah's brief romance with Prince Charles quietly set the stage for what would come next. After their relationship ended, Charles' attention turned not to another socialite or aristocrat, but to Sarah's younger sister, Diana. Diana's youth, warmth, and effortless grace soon caught his eye. What began as a polite acquaintance slowly transformed into one of the most unforgettable romances in British history. But behind the fairy tale, many wondered, how did Sarah truly feel about her younger sister stepping into the royal world she had once brushed against? And what role did she play in guiding Diana through the pressures that would follow? Diana first met Prince Charles through Sarah. At the time, she was still dating the prince, and during one of their outings, she introduced him to her shy teenage sister, Diana. Diana was only 16 then, bright-eyed, soft-spoken, and far more interested in her studies and friends than in the complexities of royal life. Still, there was something about her, a sweetness and sincerity that stood out even in that brief encounter. How did this brief encounter blossom into something? What did it blossom into? Keep watching to find out. Becoming Princess Diana. At first, Charles saw her simply as Sarah's younger sister, but after his relationship with Sarah ended, his connection with Diana began to grow. Over the next few years, their paths crossed more often, and Charles found himself drawn to her fresh innocence and genuine charm, qualities that felt like a breath of fresh air amid the formalities of royal society. By 1980, the public had begun to notice. The press followed their every appearance, fascinated by the quiet, blushing 19-year-old who seemed to have captured the future king's heart. With her noble background, beauty, and poise, Diana appeared to be the perfect choice for the monarchy's next chapter. The romance blossomed quickly, and by February 1981, the world watched in awe as Prince Charles and Diana Spencer announced their engagement, a union that would captivate millions and forever change the face of the British royal family. When the news of their engagement broke, it sent waves of excitement across Britain and beyond. Many hailed Diana as a real-life fairy tale princess, and the world held its breath as the young couple prepared to marry. On July 29, 1981, Diana and Charles wed in a ceremony that seemed lifted straight from the pages of a storybook. Held at St. Paul's Cathedral, the wedding was a spectacle of grandeur. 3,500 guests attended in person, while over 750 million people watched across the globe. Diana's silk taffeta gown, with its 25-foot train, made her every step down the aisle a vision of grace and royalty. In that moment, she was the epitome of a royal bride. The public celebrated the union with delight. For a time, it seemed that Charles and Diana's marriage would bring happiness, stability, and renewed strength to the monarchy. Diana embraced her role as Princess of Wales with apparent ease, winning hearts worldwide through her compassion, elegance, and genuine interest in the lives of ordinary people. Charles appeared committed to guiding Diana, introducing her to the responsibilities, traditions, and subtle expectations of royal life. Yet behind the polished smiles and public appearances, there were already subtle signs of tension. Few could have imagined the private struggles Diana faced as she navigated life as not just a wife, but a global icon under unrelenting scrutiny. What were the challenges? Keep watching to find out. Princess Diana's marital challenges. One of the earliest and most persistent challenges in their marriage was Charles's ongoing connection with Camilla Parker Bowles. While the world reveled in the fairy tale, cracks were forming behind the scenes. Cracks that would grow over time, testing Diana's resilience and shaping the complex legacy of their union. Charles and Camilla's relationship dated back to the early 1970s. Long before he met Diana, the two shared a deep bond. Even after marrying other people, their friendship endured, but over time, it evolved into something more. Rumors of an affair between Charles and Camilla began to circulate, placing enormous strain on his young marriage to Diana. Diana reportedly became aware of Charles's connection with Camilla as early as their engagement. Despite her sincere efforts to win his affection and build a strong partnership, she could not ignore Camilla's presence in his life. For Diana, it was a profoundly painful experience. She later spoke openly about how it made her feel like an outsider in her own marriage, even describing it as feeling crowded. The royal family's long-standing emphasis on privacy meant that personal struggles were expected to remain behind closed doors. But as Diana's emotional pain grew, so did the distance between her and Charles. The rumors of infidelity began to threaten the carefully maintained public image of the monarchy. The British monarchy had long been seen as a symbol of stability and honor, and the notion of an affair involving the heir to the throne shocked the public. Yet it was not just the affair itself that drew attention, it was the visible toll it took on Diana. She struggled with her mental health, wrestling with feelings of isolation, insecurity, and a lack of support. Over time, the strain in their marriage became increasingly evident. The cracks that had once been private started to show during public appearances, and the fairy tale image of the royal couple began to fade. Despite every attempt to shield their difficulties from view, the relentless attention of the media transformed their personal struggles into a very public spectacle, and the world began to see that all was not as it appeared. As reports of unhappiness and infidelity continued, public sympathy for Diana grew, and the royal family faced unprecedented scrutiny.
The monarchy's reputation felt the strain as people began questioning the values it represented. Charles's ongoing relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles played a pivotal role in the unraveling of his marriage to Diana, eventually leading to something irreparable. What was that? Why did it turn out irreparable? Keep watching to find out.
Diana and Charles' separation, after years of tension, trust issues, and emotional turmoil, Diana and Charles officially separated in 1992. The decision came after long periods of heartbreak and relentless media attention. Diana spoke candidly in interviews about feeling lonely and hurt, particularly because of Charles's continued involvement with Camilla. The media followed every detail, amplifying the pressure and making what was already difficult into a spectacle. Finally, in 1996, after 4 years apart, the divorce was finalized. Diana received a significant financial settlement, but lost the title of Her Royal Highness, a major shift in her life. Freed from the constraints of royal marriage, she began focusing on her charitable work and carving out her own identity outside the palace walls. Throughout all of this, Lady Sarah remained a constant in Diana's life. As her older sister, Sarah was more than just family. She was a confidant, a steady source of support, and a trusted ally. Despite the challenges that came with being part of the royal world, the bond between the sisters was unwavering. During the most turbulent periods of Diana's marriage, she often turned to Sarah for advice, comfort, and encouragement. Their relationship transcended the ordinary sibling bond. Sarah became one of Diana's closest and most reliable sources of guidance as she navigated both personal struggles and life in the public eye. Sarah's support for Diana went far beyond private moments. She took on a formal role as Diana's lady-in-waiting. This position was more than ceremonial. It involved accompanying Diana to official engagements, helping her navigate royal protocols, and offering guidance on her public duties. The role of lady-in-waiting is typically reserved for those who are trusted implicitly, and Sarah fulfilled it with care, dedication, and deep understanding. With Sarah there, Diana had reassurance, especially as she became one of the most photographed and scrutinized figures in the world. Sarah's support extended to official duties as well. She accompanied Diana on numerous royal engagements, including the significant 1993 visit to Nepal. During the trip, Sarah helped Diana manage the public expectations and ceremonial responsibilities that came with being a member of the royal family. These appearances weren't just about smiling for cameras. They required connecting with people, representing the monarchy's values, and projecting grace under scrutiny. Sarah's calm presence and knowledge of royal protocol helped Diana stay focused, composed, and confident. Having her sister by her side allowed Diana to approach her role with more ease and assurance. Sarah's steadfast presence reinforced Diana's sense of belonging and purpose within the royal family. Though Diana's journey was marked by challenges, she had a support network that included her sister, someone who helped her find strength and resilience during the toughest moments. But as Diana's public life grew more complex and demanding, questions arose. Could her unwavering support withstand the increasing pressures of fame, scrutiny, and the burdens of royal life? Keep watching to find out. Princess Diana's enduring legacy. Princess Diana remains one of the most beloved and iconic figures in royal history. Even decades after her passing, her influence continues to shape younger generations of royals and inspire people around the world. From the moment she became engaged to Prince Charles, Diana commanded the world's attention, so much so that she was often called the world's most photographed woman. What set Diana apart wasn't just her beauty or her title, but her compassion, charisma, and genuine ability to connect with people. She had an effortless grace and a natural warmth that drew others in. Her humanitarian work, from visiting hospitals to championing causes like HIV/AIDS awareness and the fight against landmines, made her more than a princess. She became a symbol of empathy and hope. Those who worked closely with her, like her private secretary, Patrick Jepson, described her as organized, hardworking, and demanding, but also deeply fair. He noted that Charles struggled to cope with her extraordinary popularity, a sentiment echoed by writer Tina Brown. Diana's mother remembered her as loving, but sometimes fiery, a woman driven by emotion and conviction. She was, above all, a devoted mother. Princes William and Harry have both spoken about how much their mother's compassion and independence shaped who they are today. Though she was shy in her early years, those who knew her soon realized she was intelligent, witty, and emotionally intuitive. Writer Monica Ali once observed that while Diana wasn't formally educated, she had the emotional intelligence to handle the pressures of royal life and even transform them into a platform for change. By speaking openly about her struggles with bulimia and mental health, Diana broke royal taboos and helped shift global conversations about vulnerability and self-worth. According to Tina Brown, she possessed what she called a passive power, the ability to captivate and influence people not through command, but through presence and empathy, much like the Queen Mother before her. Diana's compassion was her signature. She comforted the sick, hugged the marginalized, and brought humanity to institutions long seen as distant. Her informality made her approachable. She disliked ceremony and once asked friends not to stand when she entered a room. Through her warmth and activism, she redefined what it meant to be royal, making charity work more personal and hands-on. What do you think about Princess Diana's sister revelations in tears? Let us know in the comment section below.
Thank you for watching this video. We hope you found it interesting. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the next video shown on your screen to catch up on your favorite celebrity stories. See you there.